Section 1 of The Soul of London. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Cori Samuel. Introductory and Chapter 1 of The Soul of London, A Survey of a Modern City, by Madox Ford. A traveller? By my faith, you have great reason to be sad. Published London, 1905. Introductory. Most of us love places very much as we may love what, for us, are the distinguished men of our social lives. Paying a visit to such a man, we give, in one form or another, our impressions to our friends, since it is human to desire to leave some memorial that shall record our view of the man at the stage he has reached. We describe his manners, his shape, his utterances. We moralize a little about his associates, his ethics, the cut of his clothes. We relate gossip about his past before we knew him, or we predict his future when we shall be no more with him. We are, all of us who are Londoners, paying visits of greater or less duration to a personality that, whether we love it or very cordially hate it, fascinates us all. And, paying my visit, I have desired to give some such record. I have tried to make it anything rather than encyclopedic, topographical or archaeological. To use a phrase of literary slang, I have tried to get the atmosphere of modern London, of the town in which I have passed so many days, of the immense place that has been the background for so many momentous happenings to so many of my fellows. A really ideal book of the kind would not contain writing about a town. It would throw a personal image of the place onto the paper. It would not contain such a sentence as, "There are in the city of blank 720 firms of hat manufacturers employing 19,000 operatives." Instead, there would be a picture of 1, or 2, or 3 hat factories, peopled with human beings, where slow and clinging veils of steam waver over vats, and over the warm felt on cutters' slabs. And there would be conveyed the idea that all these human beings melt, as it were, into the tide of humanity, as all these vapours melt into the overcast skies. Similarly, in touching upon moral ideas, a book about places must be passionate in its attempt after truth of rendering. It must be passionless in the deductions that it draws. It must let neither pity for the poor, nor liking for established reputations and clean floors, warp its presentations where they bear, say, upon the housing question. Its business is to give a picture of the place as its author sees it. Its reader must seek in other books statistics, emotional views, or facts handy for political propaganda. This author's treatment of historic matters must again be presentations, and he must select only such broad tendencies or such minute historic characters as bear straight upon some aspect of his subject. The historic facts must illustrate, must cast a light upon modern London, if that is what is being presented. There must be no writing about Dr. Johnson's chair in a certain tavern merely because it appeals to the author. The reader will find details of all such things in other books. This author's endeavour should be to make the past, the sense of all the dead Londons that have gone to the producing of this child of all the ages, like a constant ground bass beneath the higher notes of the present. In that way the book might, after a fashion, forecast even the future and contain prophecies. It should, in fact, be instinct with the historic sense which will afford apt illustrations, rather than the analyst's industry or the love of the picturesque. That sense of the picturesque will, however, be both a salvation and a most dangerous stumbling block. In a turning off an opulent high street, there is a court with the exterior aspect of which I am very familiar. It is close to a large freestone town hall, and to a very tall red brick fire station. It is entered by a square archway, through which you get a glimpse of dazzlingly white cottages that, very obviously, were once thatched, but that now have pretty red tiles. It is flagged with very large old stones. It is as picturesque as you can imagine. It is a good thing for descriptive writing. It might be legitimate to use it. But the trouble is that it is old, And if the book were all old things, deluding by a love for the picturesque of antiquity, it would...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?